5:15, time to by the monthly meeting. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call will show that all members of the council are in attendance. We'll move on to consent agenda. That includes the approval of minutes of the January 26th, February 2nd, and February 4th, 2026 meetings. Approval of bills and claims. Approval of licenses and permits, including renewal of Class C retail alcohol license with outdoor service and catering for Wasted Grain Bar and Grill. Renewal of Class E retail alcohol license for Kimmis Carroll Country Store number 1. Renewal of Class B retail alcohol license for Kimmis Carroll Country Store number 15. And a new Class C retail alcohol license, an 8-month, with outdoor service for Golf Services LLC.
Hey Brett, was there any incidents with any of those alcohol license? I was reminded by a constituent the other day that we should probably ask.
No.
Okay.
No, but Laura always sends them to me the week before and
Okay.
we check them.
You review them all.
Right.
Vet them.
I assume that, but I just want to verify.
All right, and applications for tax abatement under the Carroll Urban Revitalization Plan. Are there any questions? Any other questions, I should say? Is there a motion to approve the consent?
I'll move.
Second.
And Kyle, seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Taylor,
I'm going to abstain due to a conflict of interest on one of the items.
Dirks,
Yes.
Coster,
I will also abstain for one of the tax abatements.
Okay.
Bauer,
Yes.
Atherton.
Yes.
Seaman.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
All right, are there any oral requests or communications from the audience that's here this evening relating to any topics that are not on the agenda? Let's see, none, we'll move on to ordinances. First ordinance is the ordinance amendment for parking provisions on 6th Street and 10th Street, second reading. And Brad.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, chapter 69, the city ordinances is the parking regulation code section for the city. The first one is 6908 paragraph 40, which is parking on 6th Street. This section of 6th Street is from Grant Road, and it currently dead ends just east of Grant Road, about 100 feet or so. The signs are needing a removal and repair, and so at this time we're just asking for that parking restriction to be removed from that location due to that. It's not a through street, traffic is non-existent on that road, and so parking will not be an issue. The second one is chapter 6908 paragraph 41. This is on 10th Street between Main and Adams Street. It's on the south side of Adams Elementary on the north side of the road. And the change request in that location is to change it from a no parking zone to a loading zone only. The school has been using this for drop off and pickup of the students before and after school. And we're just gonna codify what the current practice is. We haven't had any issues there. This is the second reading, and my recommendation would be to approve the second reading, waive the third, and approve the ordinance.
Brad, have you had any contact from the residents along 10th Street there? Are they okay with how it's been working in this proposal?
I had a feedback just from one resident. I've had it throughout the school year. That resident knows that it's a lot of traffic, but there hasn't been any issues that he's observed.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to waive the third, I guess.
You approve the second and
Well,
waive the third.
approve the second. Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve the second, waive the third.
Second.
And Jeff seconded. Roll call, please.
Dirks,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Atherton.
Yes.
Coster,
Yes.
Bauer.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
All right. We need a motion then to
Adopt.
adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Jeff and Jason seconded. Roll call, please.
Atherton,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Dirks,
Yes.
Coster.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted.
Very good. Next ordinance is the amendment for chapter 62.01 financial liability, second reading. Brad.
Thank you, Mayor. Chapter 6201 is a general traffic code section for the city of Carroll. I'm asking to add paragraph 160, which would be Iowa State Code 321.20B, which is financial liability, or as commonly referred to as vehicle insurance requirements. The we write a lot, most of our traffic codes are written on city ordinances. There's a few of them that have been state codes, and this is one of them that hasn't transitioned over for a couple different reasons, but those have all changed now, and we believe that making this a city ordinance just makes it a lot easier on the officers. It also keeps it, if we are writing codes, we don't write a city and a state code at the same time as, say, on a traffic accident, is where this typically occurs. This is the second reading for this one also, and I have not had any feedback on this ordinance request.
Brad, real quick, how does this address like a normal driver, in your words, how does this affect just a normal driver?
It doesn't affect them at all, so it just makes it so that the city's authorized to write this ordinance under a city code instead of a state code.
Okay.
So no change at all, the fine amounts, it just, what it does is it references the state ordinance or the state code to match our city ordinance so that we can enforce it through a city charge.
Okay, that was my understanding as well. Thank
Have you
you.
had conflicts in the past, Brad, where the officer wrote a city ticket for a violation of an accident, but because the state code was written under church, you end up having to have a city and a county
We
prosecutor?
have, we try to catch them and make the amendments before they get to the court, but sometimes one or two will slip through.
So this will
And-
alleviate
Yeah,
that conflict?
otherwise our city attorney has to prosecute one if if it's contested, and the county attorney the other one for the same incident. So this will take it all under the city's, I guess, purview of it, and Dave will be able to prosecute all of them through that.
I would move to approve the second reading and waive the third reading.
All right, is there a second?
I,
You have questions, go ahead.
no, I want to do the third reading on it just so,
Okay. If you're, that's fine, would you want to amend that to just approving the second then, Jeff?
No, I
No?
don't think so.
All right,
I'll second
Let's see
Jeff.
what happens. And
okay. Then, there'll be a second by Kyle. Roll call vote, please.
Taylor,
yes,
Dirks,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Coster,
Yes.
Atherton.
yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wasn't against it, I just wanted to,
yeah.
I like to, especially when it comes with these legal ones, I like to drag it out to the third sometimes, so. But,
All right, resolutions, water system pressure zone improvements,
Excuse
Randy.
me, Mr. Mayor, can we have
Did
a
I-
Oh,
motion
I'm
to
sorry.
adopt?
I move to approve the ordinance, sorry.
Motion to approve is made.
Adopt.
By Jeff,
I'll second that.
and Kyle seconded it. Roll call, please.
Taylor,
Yes,
Bauer,
Yes.
Coster,
Yes.
Dirks,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Atherton.
yes,
Motion is approved. The ordinance is adopted. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And the resolutions, water system pressure zone improvements, Randy.
Thank you, Mayor. Following the award of the construction contracts for the water system pressure zone improvements, we did request amendments to the professional services agreement from JEO Consulting Group, and those were requested to provide services during construction of the projects. The services are detailed in the amendments. In summary, the amendment number 1 is for the Group A distribution contract. We did request some assistance with project management, some assistance with construction administration, and then the project representation will be performed in-house by city staff. Amendment number 2 is for Group B, the booster station. Once again, project management, construction administration. In this case, we did request some construction observation for that, construction of that building and the mechanical within it. Amendment number 3 for Group C is for the water tower. That is yet a little different. Project management, construction administration, and observation. Plus, there's some specialized tower inspections, including the tower construction and coating. Those will be done by a firm contracted by JEO Consulting. Total fees for the 3 amendments, $268,723. That brings the total fees for to JEO for the project at $767,223. And I've included for you the impact of that on the construction cost, or the total project cost, excuse me, and then also the revenue projected for it, running about $5.5 million for both construction cost, or project cost and revenue. So unless there are any questions, I would ask your consideration of passage and approval of these resolutions, approving the amendments to the agreement with JEO for the water system pressure zone improvements.
Randy, when was the original agreement signed or approved by the council?
That was approved on April 8, 2024.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. It's been under design that period of time. And we intentionally delayed inclusion of the construction-related services until they could be better defined.
That's why I was going to ask, because it seems like it's a pretty big number, obviously. And I wasn't sure if it was an afterthought or if it's something like that. So thank you.
So like in layman's term, JE comes out, they did the design, and then they said during the design, they need somebody present there?
We asked for someone to be present there. Yes, during construction.
Is that a normal, like, I mean, isn't the design pretty, I guess,
It's,
isn't the design pretty specific? Most of these things that we design are pretty specific to how, you know what I mean? I guess,
they are. It's certainly the design is specific. That's how we get to bidding where we are. This is the execution, and we need, and it's best practice to have someone there that represents the city to make sure that the contractor executes according to the plan and specification.
okay.
So the bonding, how many years is that?
The what?
The bonding?
Yep, this part of the bigger part, sorry,
Yeah,
this
the
part of the
2.8
bonding,
million.
yep, this one would be for a 20-year.
20, all right.
So Randy, that puts your total cost to 5.5 million. The amount budgeted is essentially 5.5 million. Once we go over that, what, how are we paying for that, I guess?
It would have to be addressed at the time. There is a little funding remaining in the water utility fund balances. You know, if there are relatively minor overruns. It appears that in the building construction, we are anticipating a little bit of change, and that was primarily due to the soils report that we had performed. That report indicated that there was some unconsolidated fill where this building sits, but could not quantify the amount of fill. So once it gets into footing construction, foundation wall construction, that amount of unconsolidated fill that will need to be likely removed and replaced will be determined. And that was done intentionally rather than bidding for removal and replacement of all unconsolidated fill within the footing perimeter. So that's the way we recommended addressing that issue. There will be the tower, it's a tower. I mean, you can see it and you can bid it. There is a foundation design required for the tower. Likely it'll fit within the bid parameter. The third is the distribution system. And of course, that's underground up there in the northwest part of town. You can dig into anything when you start digging. And we'd have to address what we find when we start opening it up. We based it on the best available record that we have, but the records aren't 100% complete or accurate.
So Randy, on the compaction of that land, so all that dirt was hauled in there to level that up to 20th Street, is that correct?
I believe it was. That's what it appears to, yes.
So, the tower sits there, we have a building that sits there. If that all has to be ripped out and hauled back in, do we have an estimate on the cost for that?
No. The tower, of course, will have its independent foundation. right? I mean, it'll be deep. It'll be regardless of what the unconsolidated fill is. The building itself, certainly the footings will be down into consolidated fill, consolidated soil. The real question is just the floor support, and that will be determined. That's what may need some excavation for a portion or all of the floor of the building.
Randy, how big is this building for the booster
I
station?
believe it's 30 by 50.
Okay.
Here's my question on all of it. So JEO designed it, correct?
Yes.
Now JEO is going to be there to install it, correct?
They'll be there to monitor the construction, yes.
Monitor. So at like what point is like, there should be very few change orders, correct? I mean, the
Well,
onus is somewhat on, you designed it, right? You're
That's-
there to monitor the installation of it. Like at what point does JEO of this extra money that we're giving take onus on what they designed and what now they are monitoring to put in?
Well, the change orders are just what I explained, that the possibility of those change orders. We know going into it that there's unconsolidated fill there. And JEO can't do anything about that, nor can the city, unless we just bid removal and replacement of the whole floor, everything under the floor of the building, which may be overkill. We would have overpaid for it. That's why we did not approach it that way. Now, as far as any other responsibility of JEO for the design during it, if there's an error in design, yes, they are responsible to stand behind that.
Okay, because they're there now monitoring, putting it in, so there should be, yeah, okay. I just want to make sure that like this extra money now is like, if they're there to design it, it's their design. At some point in time, they have to take on the onus of this, you know what I mean?
If there was an
Okay.
error, yes,
Yeah,
that's
okay.
when they would take it on, you bet.
That ever happened here in our city with them or not?
I believe it did once or twice. And we've also had it happen with another engineering firm. Sometimes they just happen,
And they took care of it?
yes.
Then didn't- Okay, I want to make sure that at the end of this, it's not like they're putting it in and they designed it and they're still coming back like, well, this is screwed up. Hold on,
Well-
guys, like, whoa, like you know, I mean, you can't have a better system for them to get this thing in correctly, right? And if not under budget, at budget, if you are in charge of every single avenue of going through it.
They're in charge of the monitoring for construction. They're not the contractor. That's the difference. The contractor is still the contractor. And it is his responsibility to
Yes.
build it according to the plan. If there was an error in the plan, then that's JEO's.
So at what point, all this extra of them there to monitor this, that word monitor, that's a pretty big number for the word monitor and not take any onus to it. Like, I get it to the contractor. Are they there on a daily basis telling the contractor what they need to do so it's installed the correct way?
They're there to monitor the performance of the contractor to make sure he is conforming to the plans and specifications. Yes.
So I have a question, Randy. So the original agreement with JEO was the 498,000.
Yes.
Okay, so now this estimate comes in at 268,000. So more than half of the original. So when they bid this back in April of 2024, I mean, were we asking them that at that time to be construction, administration, and monitor? So in hindsight, should we?
In some cases, we can. In some cases, we do.
Okay,
For example, the 12th Street project, we did. In the original contract, it had the construction service, or has the construction services in it. Now, that project is a more quantifiable, well ahead of design than this project was. So we decided to delay to get design so we could see what all was going to be required and then base the construction services on what's actually contracted for.
So once they're in the monitoring process that we're paying for, let's say they're monitoring and the contractor's not putting it in the right way, what happens at that point? Because that's really what I'm paying for. The extra is in there to be monitoring. If it's on the contractor, what what are does that make sense? What are the steps? If it's on them, it's on the contractor, they're there to monitor it. What are the steps that go in place if they're not installing it the right way?
The JEO, the engineering
Yep.
firm, will get with the city
Okay.
and indicate that the contractor needs to, whatever the contractor needs to do to make it right.
Okay.
Whether it's stop work, remove work, change
Okay.
work, whatever it is, to conform to the plan specification.
And then attack, if they're not putting it in the right way, then we attack the contractor.
Yes.
Not attack, but we consultate with the
it-
contractor. Don't want to use the word attack. That was a horrible word to use. I apologize.
They're,
I meant
it's his responsibility.
we attack this problem, but
Dave, bring
yeah,
David.
legally, we consult with the contractor off the advice of JEO.
Yeah.
Okay.
And these are just estimates based on your projected number of hours to complete the project.
Yes.
So it
yeah,
could be higher, could be lower.
It could be.
And is this gonna be a common trend coming out of engineering that we need them now, once they come up with a plan, that they need to be there to monitor the plan going forward?
Oh, yes, that's what we've been doing historically, and that's best practice.
Okay.
We certainly in-house, we do everything we can in-house. And we've got the expertise, of course, for the underground construction work. And that's where the reason we did not get construction observation in the Group A contract. Our personnel will be doing that.
And I'll tell the new candidates up here, and Kyle can attest, and no, not anything to you. Change orders kill you up here. I know Kyle's like, here comes another change. They just nickel and dime you, and I'm sure Laverne and all them. I just hate getting in this change order after change order after change order. So if we can streamline this so there's not so many change orders, does that make sense?
It's usually a lot less
Yeah.
than new construction, though, change order.
Yes, there is, but yeah, I just want to make sure that, so that's what, thank you, and I'm sorry.
Randy, with this land, with the compaction side of things, that's my biggest fear right now is, are we looking at 100,000 or are we looking at $1 million? We've got a huge variable looking at us right now. I mean, are they doing different phases on this? When will we see a number on estimated cost for the compaction or for the land? What's gonna have to be done on that for the variable that's out there right now?
Okay. The sequence will be, okay, I'll step back. The main concern, like I said, was the floor area of the building. That's limited to 30 by 50. You know, that's the worst case scenario, if it all had to be taken out and all put back in. And what will actually happen is during footing excavation, we'll start to be able to see how much this unconsolidated fill is going to impact the floor, be able to begin to quantify it. If it's an area that's half that, so if half of that floor area needs to be excavated and recompacted, then that's what will be done. And that's really the reason, because it's an unknown, we could have easily put the entire floor area in the bid, but then you'd be paying for excavation and recompaction of the floor area, even if it didn't need it, because it was in the bid. So this was an effort to try to help control the cost, knowing that those costs will come up, likely come up during the construction period.
At what point of the construction process will they do that floor? Is that one of the first things that they'll look at doing?
Sure, they're likely to certainly build the footings, foundation walls, and then some contractors will go from there to the floor and some will go to the walls, and then do the floor.
Can we
last.
request where they go before, like, I'm with Kyle, can we request where they go before this cost gets out of control? I'm like Donald Trump, I like projects done on time and on budget.
Sure, that's, everyone does, that's
Yes.
without a doubt. But there's some unknowns. But this one, we've identified that it's coming. You know, there likely will be some work in excavation and recompaction.
So can we ask to
When-
have that thing done before, like, or can JEO who's monitoring say, hey, this could be a substantial problem, can we address that first versus You know, I'm with you. Why don't we address it at the beginning versus $3 million in down the drain and then we address it?
Well, you couldn't address it until the contractor gets there to do it. Whether it certainly will be following footing construction and foundation construction. Sometime after that is when it would be addressed. Most likely, and the way the project was bid, the contractor has control of the schedule once he's awarded the contract. And so he'll construct it certainly to his advantage, however best he can to make the most profit he can. You know, so if the city steps in and says, no, I want you to do it this way instead of that way, after the award of the contract, then he would probably come back and say, well, doing it that way is going to cost a little bit more.
And last question, is there a way when we go into these bids that we can have some type of, like, if we have our most what could be our most expensive thing, can we like have it so they at least address that first, you know what I mean? Like if you know there's gonna be a massive problem going into a contract, right? I'll use the villa for example. There was water coming down a wall, right? When I bought the villa, I was like, man, I'm gonna try to salvage this wall. I could not salvage the wall. I had to take the whole wall out, right? That was one of the first things I did, you know what I mean, was get that wall out because that was a massive leading on, you know what I mean, before I got into the inside of the building and everything, you know what I mean? There's got to be some type of systematic way of doing it. And I don't like to hear when it's just to make the most amount of profit, you know what I mean?
That's the way the contractor operates most efficiently, is when he can make profit. And certainly, we know it's going to be within this timeframe of floor wall construction.
Okay.
That's just the way it has to be to build. Whether he does one first, the other first, you know, it's 6 of one, half a dozen the other, really.
Randy, when will this go to bid then?
This has been bid.
It has, okay.
Oh, yes.
And then I assume this will be similar to the water tower that's in place. There's a fence around the area and such to protect it from, okay.
Yes.
Randy, say this is approved tonight and that compaction comes back where it kills the whole deal. Where does that leave us with the agreement? Are we on the hook for that 767,000?
Actually, the construction services that are proposed tonight are hourly.
Okay.
And so if the project is not constructed, then the hours are not spent.
Okay.
By JEO. There's other issues, obviously.
I'm just
with
saying,
the
if there's
contracts.
larger issues, I just want to be prepared for that, so.
Yep.
We would still be on the hook for the contract with the contractor, would we not?
That's entirely up to Dave.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Hope for
typically,
the best.
yeah, typically you're responsible for whatever work has been done to that point in time, to the point in time where the contract's been terminated.
At a minimum.
At a minimum, probably, yes.
I want to remind everyone, these people have been waiting for water for a very, very long time. And so, yeah, I mean, let's just hope that they do it in some type of smart order. So I'll make a motion to approve it.
We'll need to do these one at a time, though,
Okay.
Jason. So if you want to make an approval of amendment number 1 first.
Yeah, I'll make an approval of amendment one. Or do you have something?
System.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve amendment 1.
I'll second.
All right. Jason and Deb seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Atherton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Coster?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Resolution is approved.
And amendment number 2, Group B Booster Station.
So moved.
Second.
And Jason made the motion and Jeff seconded. Roll call, please.
Atherton?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Coster?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Resolution is approved.
Amendment number 3, Group C Water Tower.
So moved.
By Jason. Second.
Second.
By Jeff. Roll call, please.
Bauer?
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Coster,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Dirks,
Yes.
Atherton.
Yes.
Resolution is approved.
Randy, when do you anticipate the construction to actually begin?
I would say probably in April.
Okay.
It'll begin with the Group A, the underground. The mechanical and everything for Groups B and C have some lead time, some pretty long lead times.
So the projected completion is how long down the road then from April?
Group A, contract completion date is December 31st of '26.
Okay.
Group B and C, the contract completion date for each or both is December 31st of '27.
Okay.
Big project, isn't it?
It is, yes.
All right, 12th Street reconstruction, maybe?
Thank you, Mayor. Special assessment has been offered to the property owners along 12th Street to finance, say, completion, I guess, of their water or sewer lines, and that's at their discretion. Of course, if you'll recall, within the contracts, we usually replace all service lines within the contract underneath the new paving, just so we don't have to dig into new paving as soon as we get it placed down. And then we give the property owner the opportunity to replace the balance of their service line from that point that the city ends up to their residence. We have had a few elect to do that. They've been offered a special assessment to finance it. And we have been working with the Ehlers Law Firm to put the special assessment in place. The first issue that we have is an engagement letter now with Ehlers. They had delayed issuing that letter until they could satisfactorily quantify the scope of work, and now they've brought it forward. The scope of work that Ehlers will perform is detailed in that engagement letter, summarized in your memorandum. Basically, it's leading the city through the legal procedure for special assessment under the Iowa Code. And they do a great job in doing that and have proposed fees to do that, a flat fee of $13,615 for the special assessment procedure and an estimated $500 in expenses. So unless there are any questions, I'd recommend your consideration of approval of the resolution accepting and approving the engagement agreement with the Ehlers Law Firm for the 12th Street project.
What was the special assessment on Adams? What was that total? Do you remember what that total was, anyone?
The total, it was around under 90,000, I think.
No, per individual, what was it? Do you
Well,
remember?
we only had 6 individuals that volunteered or went into the special assessment project. So the total among the 6, I think, was somewhat under 90,000.
Okay.
Out of the total number of houses that could have done this, did half of them accept it, or third, or
About 10%.
about 10%? Okay.
We had about 66 homes adjacent to the Adams Street. It was offered, and about 6 responded and entered the special assessment.
And when they do that, if the homeowner along 12th Street, you said you have this option, do they have a rough idea up front what it might cost ultimately? They do, okay.
We provided them a ballpark cost on it. And then, as you'll see later, when you get to the preliminary assessment schedule, that schedule includes the cost to the homeowners. And once you approve the preliminary assessment schedule, it cannot increase, even if the bid results in a higher cost. You cannot increase it over the preliminary. In the case of the Adams Street, the actual final assessment cost to the property owners there was significantly less than the estimate in the preliminary assessment schedule. And a lot of that was a result of a really good bid on the project.
Randy, moving forward with these complete street reconstruction. Would you recommend the council doing these moving forward, or would you waive this in the future? Because 10% seems super low to me for the amount of time and work that goes into this.
That's exactly my sentiment, that 10% is not a big participation rate. It does take a lot of work. A lot of the costs are rolled into special assessment, of course, to the individual properties. But on the other hand, it's a service to the residents. That's, some of them really appreciate getting their sewer lines replaced, and they'll pay for it. In fact, in the Adams Street project,
I think the special assessment on this has definitely settled down versus the first time we had a special assessment meeting here on Adams Street.
it has.
So
This is they elect this benefit. If they really want it, this is a way to get it. In Adams Street, we had the 6 participated in it. We had a couple of them hired their own plumber, had theirs replaced right as the city contract was going on. So, they do it all kinds of ways.
Okay.
And it's.
I think 80% of these people, the water turns on, they're good until, you don't do it, and then all of a sudden the water main breaks, and we're getting screened, So it's one of those things that if you want to go out there and get this
I think
done early, I
it's a
think you
good
should,
On water, you're not gonna
service.
tear up the street, because did we go to the box that's in between the sidewalk and the curb for that?
Yeah.
So you won't
Well,
tear up the street there, it's a sewer is where you're gonna tear up the street.
the sewer is the worst one.
Yeah.
We have to cross the street with half the water lines.
Yeah,
And they'll be constructed by open cut, of course, because we'll have the street open. But in the case of a resident that does not have it replaced now, even if the city did not replace the water line under the street to the stop box, they can be bored in. So you're right, that can be done. We have included those replacements under the road just to keep everyone else out from getting under the road, I guess,
but you replaced it, what is it called, orange peel or something? Orangeburg, we replaced it that, didn't we? Or in the sewer lines for those people?
Only under the street.
Yeah,
There was some Orangeburg from there to the home, to the residents, and the city did not replace that. There were a few property owners that did, and I'm not even sure if there was any Orangeburg left that didn't get replaced.
If there's no more questions, I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
All right, Jason made the motion, Kyle seconded. Roll call, please.
Baylor?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Coster?
Yes.
Dirk?
yes.
Resolution's approved.
All right, resolution establishing public hearing for vacation of a portion of Southeast Street paved.
No,
Did I miss something?
we need to deal with the actual petitions and waivers. We're still not done with Wall Street. We just approved the engagement agreement with the Alders and Cooney Law Firm.
You got 2 more to go.
Okay. I got it. That's fine. That's right what I was looking at here too. Okay, so we will move to, this will be back with Randy again on 12th Street resolution approving petition and waivers. Right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Thank you, Mayor. First step in the assessment procedure was to provide petition and waiver to those residents that elected to join in the special assessment, have their water and or sewer lines replaced. Those waivers, actually, that's the formal request of the resident for the city to do that work. And it also indicates that they indicate to the city that they will pay for it. And it also allows the city to kind of reduce some of the legal requirements of the special assessment, at least streamline some of the legal requirements, because the residents in the petition waive some of the notification procedures, which are in regular special assessment everything takes a notice, and it takes forever to get through it. But with these, we're able to waive those and proceed quickly. Your next step in this process that's on the agenda will reflect how much you can get done with a waiver of those notices. Excuse me. We did have 7 petition and waivers signed. They're listed by address and service line replacement. Some are both sewer and water, some sewer, one of them's just water. So unless there are any questions, I'd recommend your consideration of approval of the petition and waivers for the 12th Street project.
Going back to Adams Street, how many households are there on this project?
There are about the same number, about 60 some, I believe.
Thank you.
And people could still apply for like the 12 grand up until construction, right?
No, in this, no, if they're not on the,
If they're not on this list, it's just NLBL.
it is, your next step includes what's called the preliminary assessment schedule. If you're on that, you're in. If you're not on it, you can't be put in after tonight.
Okay.
I would make a motion to approve the resolution for the petition waivers, the 12th Street reconstruction project.
So move. For a second, I'm sorry.
Okay, by Jeff, Jason,
Thought you were the
second.
mayor for a second.
Not yet.
Stevens,
Yes.
Bauer,
Give me a couple
Yes.
weeks.
Coster,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Atherton,
Yes.
Jerks.
Yeah.
Resolution is approved.
Sorry about that, Chair. I didn't know.
It's okay, no worries. As they say, resolution of necessity for 12th Street reconstruction, ordering construction of the project, approving preliminary plat and schedule of assessment, the estimated cost, et cetera.
I was hoping
That's all
you'd,
right, it's all presented.
I was hoping you'd read that all. I wasn't going to.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. These are the first steps, real concentrated steps of initiating the special assessment procedure. To break it down a little, that long title, down a little bit, the resolution of necessity is your statement that this project is necessary to construct and to proceed with the construction of the project. The approval of the plat and schedule of assessments, both the plat and schedule are attached to your memorandum, and I guess in response to the number of properties, I did not look at it until after you asked. There are 51 properties in this one. So they're all included. All properties are listed on the preliminary assessment schedule, but only those that are participating in the special assessment have a cost of the improvements associated with them. So there will be the 7 on that schedule that will be replaced. Total replacement cost, according to the schedule or based on the schedule, $75,017.88 would be assessed. And stepping back just a step, in the Adams Street project, under special assessment, the owner is given 30 days following acceptance of the project to pay the assessment off in full. And if they do not elect to do that, then it's assessed to their taxes and collected with
What was
taxes.
that total?
75.
75 what?
75,017.88. In the Adams Street project, all of the owners except one paid off their assessment prior to it being certified to the county. So, people just wanted to do it.
Randy, in the off chance that the actual construction cost any individual property owner more than what we estimated, how does that work?
They do not get charged if that's the case.
We
They
eat that?
we eat that. Only up to the amount in the preliminary assessment schedule.
Do we actually get a number, like when they're doing the construction, does the contractor come back and say, well, we ended up doing this much? Do we have an idea of where we end up on each project or each property?
Those will all be bid. And so
Okay.
we'll know that going into it,
Okay,
barring any unforeseen underground circumstances, but yes, we're bidding those.
Okay.
But you did say the Adams Street came in lower?
It did,
Yeah.
considerably lower, yes. Okay, then in the tentative approval of the plans, form a contract and estimated cost, of course, this project is real similar to the Adams Street project. It's roadway, it's utility, or municipal utilities, water, sewer, and storm sewer are the generally, and of course, from West Street to Grant Road. Because this is a federal aid project, the specifications are the Iowa DOT standard specification for highway and bridge construction. Actually, the Iowa DOT will be receiving the bids. That's required under federal aid construction. Form of contract will also be the Iowa DOT standard form, and the estimated construction cost is $4,601,411.60. And then the public hearing on this, the resolution fixes it at your next council meeting, February 23rd, and construction bids will be received by the DOT on February 17. So unless there are any questions, I'd recommend your consideration of passage of the resolution of necessity et al. Resolution for the 12th Street project.
So does DOT, I guess, have the ultimate say on which bid we take, or is that still on it?
They do, yes. We have done it twice. The DOT has required us that if we were going to award a bid, we awarded the second low bid because the low bidder on 2 different occasions had violated their bidding requirements
On that project or in the past?
in the past.
But in order to receive the money, we had no choice on that, right?
Pardon me?
In order to receive the federal aid, we have no choice on that, I assume?
That's right. Yeah, that's a DOT requirement.
They always get you, don't they?
Well, you know, on the flip side, the DOT has 44 pages of letting that day, you know, and that's probably more letting than the city of Carroll has in 10 years. So they really generate bids. I mean, contractors go after DOT projects left and right. So it's, on the flip side, we may get good competitive bids out of it.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
All right, Jason made the motion, Jeff seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Coster,
Yes.
Dirks,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Atherton,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Seaman.
Yes.
Resolution approved.
Next resolution establishing public hearing for vacation of a portion of Southeast Street. And Aaron?
Thanks, Mayor. We entered into a memorandum of understanding with Carroll Kemper High School back on May 27th of 2025, agreeing that we would vacate East Street to allow them for construction when they needed it. That construction project has been moved up significantly in time. And so part of that process, which will require both this resolution and the next resolution to establish or to set public hearings. The first one is for a vacation of a portion of Southeast Street.
All right. Dave, do you need to comment on this at all?
No,
From
the
a
o-
standpoint, or-
No, the only thing I would just remind the council is you're just setting up the public hearing tonight for the 23rd. That's all the resolution is for. Setting up the hearing for the vacation on the 23rd and then potential disposition of that vacated property for the 23rd as well. So that's all you're doing tonight.
All right. Is there any questions? If not, I'd look for a motion to approve February 23rd.
Once this is vacated, then Kemper will be responsible for that street, is that correct?
Correct.
Right.
Okay. So if it snows the 24th, they're moving snow there?
That's never thought of that
Is there any monetary value of this land going, or is it just,
The thought process for us at this point is it's creating some legal fees and
Application cost.
publication costs. So when we kind of get those numbers, it's probably what the past precedence has been to request reimbursement for, or the cost of the street.
The
cost of vacating the
Yes.
street.
And there's
So
no-
we're not collecting anything for the value of the land,
Correct.
right?
There, I don't know if you consider a value of that land when it's under a street at that point. I haven't seen one.
There's no major utilities that run through that.
There's a water line there that they have to relocate.
Okay.
That's that's their responsibility.
All right, if there's any,
So I just wanna make sure that they're in charge of all costs of moving. 50% go to Kemper, 50% go to Carroll. I wanna make sure, you know what I mean? Like, for the public sentiment that like all costs of removing utilities, power lines, digging up the road, that's not on the city, correct?
Correct.
We just, okay. Thank you.
Once we vacate it,
I just
We're
don't wanna show you know?
all right,
I would make a motion to approve the resolution establishing February 23rd as the public hearing date for the vacation of that property.
So moved.
All right, Jeff made the motion, Jason seconded. Roll call, please.
Bauer,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Atherton,
Yes.
Dirk,
Yes.
Coster,
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Motion's approved.
All right, we have a resolution establishing a public hearing for the disposal of land. And Aaron.
Barring any other explanation, I would just recommend
It's the same.
setting this public hearing again.
I'll make a motion to set it.
All right, that was made by Jason. Is there a second?
Second?
By Jeff. And roll call on that, please.
Taylor,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Dirk,
Yes.
Coster,
Yes.
Atherton.
Yes.
Resolution's approved.
Okay, thank you. And, last resolution is standard agreement for consulting services with McClure Engineering Services regarding the Grand Park Lighting Improvement Project. And Chad.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council. This is a professional service agreement with McClure Engineering for the Grand Park Lighting Project. The scope of work is set below, so preliminary design and plans, final design, construction, admin, survey services, and project management. On the last page of that contract should show kind of a diagram. Right now, that is what the scope of services is. Obviously, if there is any wanting to change what the total scope of services or what our overall outlook would be on that map, this would probably be the time to do it. I also have Cody Forge here with McClure to help answer any questions you may have.
What do you mean by these red dots are what's there now?
Correct.
So what's gonna be added?
Basically any of the highlighted areas, so pickleball, tennis courts, basketball courts, some of the parking lots on top of the walkways, and then any, like I said, parking lots around the shelter house, and then some of the driving. So the through street.
So
Is
how
what
many
is
li- how many
proposed
lights
right
are you
now.
talking, how many lights do you think you're talking?
Kind of hard to quantify right now.
I could talk to some of that over. Cody Forge with McClure. The purpose of the design would be to actually identify that number of lighting, Laverne. So we would do a photometric review and analysis of the area, pick a fixture, and propose a number of lights.
Okay.
So I think my end goal with this is to get a kid that leaves the football game to be able to walk through the park.
Yeah.
I think all of us been at football games where it's somebody, and you probably got numerous calls to that park just because of the low lighting there, Brad, or not. Like I know I have kids and it's like, man, we'll go pick them up because we don't want to walk through Grand Park. Grand Park is our central park. It's, you know, we put money into the band shell and everything else like that. So my intention is kind of light that thing up where when things are lit up, that means people use them.
So obviously some of these are gonna be on timers.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
And then the other ones, say like the parking lot, the road through there, those will be on all the time. Is that what the intention would be?
Yeah, those would be permanent lighting, and then all the courts and everything like that could be on timer, similar to the tennis courts and others in town.
So when I think of a parking lot, so when I think of a parking lot, I'm thinking we don't have shadow. Is that something that this would be set up that way too? It'd be a bright lit up lot, and then that street through there. I definitely see where Jason says too. It's probably kind of scary walking through there at night. I know there's been times where there's been homeless people living in one of those shelter houses. Would that be lit up fairly bright as well? That street?
That's the intention.
Okay.
Yeah, we go through an analysis phase to basically develop light shed for each of the fixtures that we select and review it, parks aren't necessarily like other public way where you want it completely lit up, but, find a happy median where we can provide safety yet not overly, light the park where it's needed.
So I take it these will be LED focused more just on the courts or whatever?
Yeah, we could look at a couple different fixtures for different locations throughout the park. We probably try to keep with the theme that Carroll's already established for other public ways. Use similar type fixtures and then develop the photogrammetry plan based off those fixtures. But we could be unique. Other fixtures might not necessarily apply here, so we'd go through an analysis phase to pick a fixture that provides the best light shed that doesn't overly light pollute other areas.
And we'll have control of it, meaning that when there's high traffic times down there, that we can turn on all those lights.
So, Mid-American owns the lights there now.
Okay.
There'd have to be some coordination to see how we wanna handle that with those guys.
Because the current lights we have in there just are not, it's just not cutting it in any way, shape,
I've
or
already
form.
began talks with Mid-American on the switch over. They said it actually should be pretty easy.
If
They're
that's the
happy to
standard
get
of
rid
our
of
light
those
that we're
too.
going by, then we don't need to get into an agreement because it's really dark. down
Probably
there.
years
Okay.
ago, they were when there were the halogen lights and shined the whole area. They're probably okay, but with the concentration LEDs, it's dark.
So Cody, will you be giving us options and maybe saying this is the plus or minus for this option, et cetera? Cost is a factor, all of that?
Yep, and that
Okay,
preliminary
good.
design phase,
So-
we provide a couple different fixture
Good,
options,
good.
with some light shed options for each, and then cost estimates.
Sure, thanks.
And Chad, how much do we have budgeted for this now? I know me and you've been kind of on this for,
As of right now, including in this upcoming budget, 275,000.
okay. I know
That's-
we've been saving for,
That
since
includes the
my first year.
engineering cost.
Yes, that's
That's
everything that we
everything
have to
was-
date.
So the lighting for the tennis courts and pickleball courts would be suitable so they can keep playing.
Correct.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
within park hours, yep.
Right, within park hours, I understand that. And then these other lights that are actually across the street they're on there on the other side. Yeah,
Just the ones in red, those are just
Yeah.
marked street lights that are currently there.
okay. And that's all there is,
Correct.
Two,
not very much.
two questions I have. So we have the walkways highlighted on here. Will there be lights along that as well?
Yeah, that'd be the plan.
And has there been any, before we get into an agreement, has there been any feedback from residents along 7th Street or Northeast Street there with this proposed project?
There hasn't been any discussion with them yet. Our intention with some of this lighting, like you said earlier, is come up with a photometric plan to ease as much light pollution towards those residents as possible. So every night, if they're looking into the park, they're obviously gonna see lights, but our intention is to make sure that there's not lights just shining into their windows.
and Chad's even looked at lights that are on, we'll just use the tennis court, that have like very little noise or light pollution, that you can turn on the tennis court and it's lit up like day. You get off of it and you know what I mean? You're almost in total dark, you know what I mean? With directional lighting now, so.
Chad, did we have money in the budget, the current budget that we're in for lighting as well? And
Correct.
was that for the pickleball courts?
No, this was just for lighting. We put, was it 100,000 last
About
year?
100,000.
I believe it was
in there.
100,000 last year in just for this project.
And then we're adding 275?
We're adding 175 right
So the
now,
total budget will be 275?
right now. Yep.
Thank you. And what is the timeline on this?
At least for the design phase, we would probably look to deliver preliminary within 90 days, and then final would kind of depend on what our ultimate fixture selection is, but we'd be looking to finalize yet this year and bid for wintertime for summer construction in 27.
Deb, it's in the lost chart.
the 2 budget cycles.
Thank you.
This was a priority item 2 years ago, I think.
Right.
And I would say since when I first got up here, that was one of my kind of goals, and everyone I've talked to, the lighting of Graham Park with the stadium being there, and the amount of kids and incidents and everything else, I've heard nothing but, good things. Even from people on that street, obviously they don't want the stadium itself lights up enough. As long as we can do it correctly, I don't think we'll get too many complaints from them as well.
So just to remind me again, so I think we've had this conversation about pickleball courts. Were they going to get lighting this year or no?
Yep. Well, probably not this year.
So it'll happen, construction will happen in the year 2027?
Yep.
Okay.
And depending on cost, we may have to phase which ones we're doing. Just depends on the cost, how we've got it set up.
I'll make a motion to approve. There's no other questions, I guess. Or that's your job. You can say that, Jerry. I guess I don't want to step on your toes.
Reading to see if there's anything else I had to ask. So, if there are no other questions, I would look for a motion to approve this.
So moved.
Jason,
Second.
second by Jeff. Roll call, please.
Parker,
Yes.
Dirk,
Yes.
Atherton,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Kaler.
Yes.
Resolution approved.
Thanks for coming tonight. Appreciate that. All right, we'll move on to reports. Digester and VLR air piping improvements, change order number 2. Randy?
Thank you, Mayor. During construction of the wastewater treatment plant digester and VLR project, it was determined that for operation and safety out there, additional exterior working platforms, one on each of the 2 digesters, was recommended. The proposed platforms would be located at the access doors, the exterior access doors to the digesters, and they're used by personnel in their valve operation and pump maintenance. Proposed cost of the 2 platforms is $23,560.50. And the contractor is also proposing to add 90 days to the contract completion date as a result of this change. The impact of this change brings the total construction cost of the project to $3,038,678.25 and changes the completion date from current July 1 of 26 to September 28 of 26.
Randy, how big are these platforms?
They're approximately 4 by 8. 4 feet by 8 feet.
And they're exterior? Is that
Yes.
what it says?
Yes.
They need 90 days to put in something up.
To build them or to manufacture them and put them on. That's what he's saying.
It seems awfully expensive. I guess I don't know anything about the construction business, but for 2 4x8 platforms for $23,560.
Seems expensive and long.
These are aluminum grating, and they are attached to the digester and the digester building on 2 sides, and then have footing requirements on the other 2 sides. So that has added to the cost, the construction itself, constructing footings and to support them.
I guess my other question would be, during the planning for this project, they didn't recognize this up front, but now they're like, oh, gosh, we should probably do this?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yes.
And this is for safety?
Safety and operation, yes.
What happens if we don't put them in?
It'll be a little bit dangerous to operate the valves
That was the
and
right question right
fire
there.
hydrants.
Okay, that's the right answer.
I
I'll make a
mean,
motion, go ahead.
well, I would just like to state that, 23,000 for a couple, platforms is a lot, but safety is huge.
Yeah.
But I'd go back to the change order, and again, what we stated a little earlier is like, some of those things should be caught on the front end, like anytime you're above the ground, like, You have to have safety ladders, you have to have the platforms. So going forward, I think that those are some things we should catch on the front and not have to have change orders. But I agree, we need them for safety purposes.
And these are specifically designed, they're not something that they're gonna grab out of their warehouse and put in there at all.
No.
Exactly.
They have to be,
What would add to the- I guess I can see, I agree that it seems expensive, except I can see where they have to design it specifically for this spot.
Well, if you can't operate, I'm gonna go back to our original conversation before. If you can't operate without this, right, and the engineering was done, who does this fall on? I mean, this is where the frustration I always get from it. Who does, where, I mean, Dave, where does this fall? We got an engineering quote, right, and I assume that they were there to supervise it and everything, and now it's a 20,000 add-on, and you can't even operate the thing without the platforms, like,
I guess it's a judgment, and, on
but it's
this.
not, because I have to approve it, otherwise I can't operate the thing.
They
Safely.
could be operated, it's dangerous. That's what we determined once these digesters the conversion from aerobic, or anaerobic to aerobic, changed the tops that we put on them, the lids, significantly. And one of the changes was that we now have access to the top of the digester from the sidewall of the cover, the digester cover. And that access is at the point where there's a valve at the bottom of the digester, 23 feet down. And also a pump 23 feet down, both of which need to be operated. The pump certainly to lift up, to remove that 23 feet, and the valve to turn and operate, open, close. So these are recommended to give the operators a little more safety, a lot more safety, in standing next to that open door in the cover to this digester and making that operation.
I guess my frustration is you could deploy with a pellet gun. I wouldn't suggest it. I mean, could you? Yeah, it'd be really dangerous. At what point does these engineers you can physically operate this thing at the cost of your own life? Why is that not added? Why is that not added in? It always seems like, well, you could do it, but I mean, OSHA will shut you down. Like at what onus do we get to the point of where do we get a product done, ready to operate and ready to go without all these add-on change orders of, well, you could do this, let's be honest, you couldn't operate this thing because it'd be so dangerous that nobody could pick up the liability of it. You know what I mean?
I think there possibly is some missed OSHA regs here. I mean, I just know from my own plant, anything that's so many inches off the floor, we have to have platforms for. So I think, in the future, it's just something that needs to be really closely monitored is, are we meeting all the OSHA guidelines on anything we have?
Randy,
would
if
require
this
a
had been
platform.
caught up front and planned for, would the cost be the same as what we're looking at now, or is this a little bit higher because it's after the fact?
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Certainly, if they would have been included in the original bid, there would have been a cost. And of course, the contractor still has to be low bid, but all bidders would be bidding those platforms right in their bid. Now, the fact that it comes along after a contract's award, they're high priced, but they're reasonable cost.
Is this their price or an engineer's estimate?
Their price.
Okay.
And
the contractor found it, not the engineering firm?
no, we discovered it as a group, the city, the contractor, the engineer. We got together and decided this was needed in the contract.
Well,
And then asked the contractor to provide a price.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve it because we don't need anyone working in dangerous conditions.
I'll second.
All right, it's by Jason and Deb seconded. Roll call, please.
Taylor?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Costa?
Yes.
Dirk?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
So I was on a Zoom meeting with the League of Cities today, and they're talking about the discharge out of the sewer plants that had the guidelines. It's amazing. Some of these cities our size and up to probably 20,000 are spending anywhere from $60 to $90 million to get that discharge good enough to go into the creeks. We've been talking about that, it's gonna be really expensive for us.
Yes,
It's
It
all
can
over
be.
the state.
you bet. Yeah, those are huge numbers and just mind-blowing.
That's related to like the copper type thing, or what do you mean?
No, it's,
Enough problem.
yeah, but it's also for the
Nutrients and,
the microscopic
Chlorides.
fish and stuff like that.
yeah,
And that's why we switched to the VLR, right? Because it's an easier I believe. You have to remind me, there was
yes, we improved.
WTTP and, yeah.
We
Not to get
improved
in
the
trouble with.
VLR because we believe
Okay,
that we'll be
yeah,
able
okay.
to hit the nutrient limit by getting additional air to it. That's, there's no guarantee, but we were leaking air all over, between the pump and the VLR.
All right, thanks for your work on this, Randy. Appreciate you.
Sure.
Okay, it was a motion and a second of that, right?
We've already voted on it.
Okay,
Yep,
Then-
we can move on to the next item.
thank you. Then we will, but I just have it in my mind that I still want to make Randy keep talking.
Okay. Next issue was a H3 truck sale to the city of Glidden. In June of '24, you approved the purchase of a heavy-duty truck with a trade-in of the existing truck. The city of Glidden has now offered to buy that trade-in directly from the city without going through Ascendant's Truck Centers. And Ascendant has consented to removing that trade-in from the purchase order, and if desired, allowing the city to sell it directly to Glidden. Their offer is the amount of the Ascendant's trade-in value, $32,000. So unless there are any questions, I'd recommend a waiver of policy number 304, sale of surplus property, approval of the sale of that truck to Glidden to be completed when the city receives their replacement truck.
When was that again? Is that a big question mark still?
Still don't know. We believe it is now, the chassis is in, and it's having the equipment mounted on it now. So they're two different people do that.
Randy, have you heard, because they have no price concession on these to lock in the price, International does not. Has that price increased from the original bid, do you know?
I have contacted them regarding that, exactly, to try to answer that question. They said that on that purchase order, it was if this truck dropped in '26, there would probably be a price increase. They did confirm that the chassis dropped in '26, but they could not and have not gotten back to me on a price increase on it.
So on the last truck, did we sell through Gov Deals as well, or through Gov Deals, or was that a trade-in to Ascendants?
Trade-in.
This is the one that I questioned the 2025 versus 2026.
Emissions,
And I said, there's no way you're giving us 2025, right?
emissions, 15,000 if I recall, something
Tom,
along
if you're
those lines.
watching, I told you 2026.
I guess if we were to put this truck on Gov Deals, I'm just looking at a competitive bid process, and I'm looking, heavy trucks a little bit different than smaller passenger vehicles. When I put a number on a trade-in, especially something that could be out there a year or two, I'm a little gun shy on putting a hard number trade-in versus being more competitive. When I look at this as, take myself out as a dealer now, and I look at this as the $273,995, I'm not sure if we're getting all the discounts that we could be getting versus removing that trade-in. So I'm thinking, in the future, is there a way that we tell them, hey, we want these numbers with no trade? Obviously, Glidden thinks that truck's worth $32,000, and I think other communities probably would too.
Yeah, are you saying there should be a conscious effort to?
I'm
get
just
this
saying,
to-
I think we tell them, hey,
Yeah.
I want a real number. If I walk in the door, bid this truck as if I've got no trade-in.
And that way, if Manning or Glidden or something like that wants to match
And then we
that,
could put it
yeah,
out
no,
there.
Yeah,
But I think we'd see more discounts.
Okay.
I can agree with you on that, Kyle. I think that. Do we think that this one, that the 32,000 would takes substantially more on gov deals?
I don't know, I think we'd probably see more discounts on the front side.
Okay.
Is my thing. So I think it'd make it more competitive across the board, personally.
Okay.
I guess that's on the passenger side, but I truly think that falls.
Pretty
down
sure
the
you do
line
this
with
for a
some
living,
stuff.
though, don't you?
What's that?
Pretty sure you do this
Yeah.
for a living, don't you? Okay.
So explain that again, you think that it would be,
So like if I'm putting a number on something, knowing that I essentially like 2 years out, I'm gonna be a little gun shy putting a hard number on this thing with a lot of variables in place. I'm gonna make sure I've got a lot of padding versus if I just bid this, selling you a vehicle or the city a vehicle, being the most aggressive I can right out of the gate. So I think you take a variable out of it. I look at cop cars. It's always tough to put a number on cop cars. But I think we've seen more competitive bidding. I know how I bid those things. We don't make anything on those things.
So
And typically sell them for more money on gov deals.
I was just gonna say, so you would prefer us in the future to use gov deals?
Yeah, I think we're gonna get the most bang for our buck that way.
Okay.
and when we do that, then that's not done until we actually possess the new vehicle, correct?
Right.
I mean, worst case scenario, you put it out to another municipality around us, seeing if they need it. I think you can always get a rough trade-in number, but let them know we're not trading it in. I mean, yeah, is it a gamble, but I think you'll see the payback on it.
So
If we don't,
they
I'll
might
eat my
have
words
just
on that.
purchased it off- They might have purchased it, in other words, off gov deals, knowing it was well taken care of. by
Yeah,
One owner.
I mean, another municipality, smaller town like that, they're gonna, I mean, it's not like we didn't take care of it. I mean, they can't afford
Like,
it.
this is the greatest deal probably for Glidden and for us. I mean, we're
Yeah,
helping out
I
our
mean-
neighbor city, you know what I mean?
They're not gonna be out there buying a $300,000 truck.
Yes.
So-
No, okay.
Yeah, they don't have the usage for it.
So I think it'd make things more competitive on the front side.
All right, is there a motion to approve this?
Is this all one motion? Dave?
Yeah, this would be just one,
So moved.
so, Jason made the motion to approve it as presented,
Second.
and the second was by Jeff. Roll call vote, please.
Seaman?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Kaler?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Foster?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Very good. We'll move on to, fiscal year 2026-27 budget work session. Aaron?
Thank you, Mayor.
Start us off.
Yep, I think what we'll do to start is we'll just start with Laura's presentation on the last couple items, and then we'll have a little bit more discussion about our usage of local option sales tax and then the other funding sources or funding requests.
Could I request a 5-minute break or make a motion just for 5 minutes?
We don't need a motion, we're fine. Anybody
Yeah,
else
you-
have any problems?
Take 5 minutes?
Sure, go ahead.
Yep.
Yep. Okay,
Okay, I believe we have just a few sections here to finish up, mostly the financial sections, or what we call general government financial. There is one section that we haven't really touched on, just give me a second to get there. So under tab E, page 60, the community and economic development section of the budget, I just wanted to point out in this area, this is where we are helping to fund the housing trust fund that Region 12 administers. We have for a number of years given them $2,500 to go towards that fund, and they're asking for the same dollar amount again this year to maintain that, to help with the housing initiatives. It helps leverage so that they can get some state money to help with housing projects in their region. So that has stayed the same. Planning and zoning, this is the area where we would be collecting, we charge a small fee to help cover some of our administrative costs if a developer would want to rezone an area. We do have some costs associated with it from publication notices and notification of homeowners, as well as some recording fees potentially. So this would be to collect the fees and then cover those expenses. Then the big area that we still haven't covered is what we call our general government area. That is under tab E, the summary on page 61. In this area is pay and some small associated fees for council and mayor, mainly the planning session fee that we have somebody, an outsider, to come in to help set our priorities for our upcoming budget year. That's under the legislative and executive sections. Then we have expenses related to the financial administration. It's basically the running and operations of City Hall, personnel, as well as day-to-day operations. A couple main things that are being proposed for fiscal 27 in that area is our audit is up for renewal. We typically do a 3-year audit proposal, and with the completion of the fiscal 25 audit, that is the 3rd year of a 3-year deal with our current auditors. At the time we put the budget proposal together, our auditors had indicated they may not seek to continue the audit, that we don't know. We're not done with the 25 audit yet. And so hoping to get that wrapped up here very soon, and then I'll go out for RFP for another 3 years. So I did increase the amount for those services because I don't know. We're currently using a local firm. I believe they are the only local city of Carroll within the city limits that does governmental audits. So if we get an outside company from outside the city of Carroll, that might be a little bit more expensive.
Laura, the revenue there, the 40,800, where does that come from?
That is, let me make sure I get this right. We do charge a admin fee for the billing of the garbage services. So that's most of that, and then there's a small portion that would be late fees that would be charged on if you did not pay your bill on time.
Okay, thanks.
The $2,000 in miscellaneous supplies, just admin supplies, or is it?
Miscellaneous supplies. I know I had a miscellaneous supplies in my budget.
Oh, wrong page, I'm sorry. No, keep going.
Okay.
Just testing.
No, I was testing you right there. Nope, sorry.
And then one, I would say, I would call it unique, but different capital request for a new copier. Our current copier is 6 years, a little over 6 years old, and it's kind of like one of those cars. You're almost at the point of, do you keep it? I mean, we'll keep it and run it as long as we can, but there is a possibility that it could potentially give us quite the fits this next fiscal year. And if we don't need to replace it, we won't, and we'll just ask to keep carrying the money. But if we go down with a copier, that it's a major hindrance in our operations here.
Currently, I would say at least once a month, we're having people here to fix it, which works out okay because it's not an emergency at the time, but there could be a time where we're running a lot of copies. And
Do we have a maintenance contract on that
Yes.
that covers
Yeah.
those types of repairs?
yes.
When does that contract end?
It's ongoing.
Oh, it doesn't.
Just month to
So it's
month?
at no cost to us, or?
Well,
what's it
they
called?
do
What-
charge us
what
by
is
the
it?
number of copies that you print out of it, and it's just based upon the number of copies, but it's, I guess the fee for that is not necessarily locked in, I don't think, right now. That we did go through that, I think they locked it in for the first 3 to 5 years.
Cause if at the point where it's costing us, it's like a car, if it's costing us too much, then let's just go in, you know what I mean? Like if, I mean, I'll let you guys figure that out though, I guess.
So, yeah, we're hopeful that it's still operating, and I'll have to look and see if they've changed the maintenance contract amount, per copy amount recently or not.
So what sort of things go wrong with it every month? Just kinda curious what.
What did we have them out here for? It keeps jamming. That's the biggest thing, it keeps jamming when you're trying to run copies through it or duplex. That was the major issue we recently had. And they were very good, and they were out here within the day. We called in the morning, luckily the issue happened in the morning, and they were here that afternoon.
Where do they come from?
The gentleman that we had this time, he said he's from Harlan.
Okay.
So,
You guys have a lot of situations similar to I know the budget book is probably one of your bigger jobs as far as copying. Do you have a lot of things that require multiples and sorting, stacking, stapling?
not anymore. The other big ticket thing that we had every month was we're printing our utility bills, but we've outsourced that recently. So this, yes, would be probably our biggest project outside of that.
Does anybody have scanners where you just scan and print from
Yes,
your
it does do
printers?
that.
From a printer at your own desk, though?
No, we do not have any scanners at our desk.
Okay. Those are really inexpensive, you know. It might help some of the wear and tear on a copier for smaller projects.
Sure, yep. Yeah, we'll have to decide what projects or what things we want to, maintain that way.
So everything's run, all the computers are run through that one printer, I assume?
No, there are a few printers then at individual desks that are a lot smaller, that they would just be printing, like if they just needed
Yeah,
one piece of
okay.
paper.
I think that's what you
just
were
one
talking
thing.
about as far as.
Yeah. So, yeah, so we're looking, I did get an unofficial quote from our current provider about how much it is the cost to replace it that's very similar. It's under $10,000. So,
Yeah, I try to keep this thing, seeing that we outsource those big ticket things. That was really one of the things that we talked about the printer was, and so I'd hate to see that we outsource it and then we still needed to get it, so.
yeah, we'll keep monitoring the usage and the problems, if we continue to have problems. Maybe what this gentleman did, fixed it, and it'll
Yes.
run for the next 5 years.
How many copies would this machine have on it after that many years? 500,000?
Oh, yeah, the gentleman said we were, I think, right under 1 million. But that was, yes, right before we started outsourcing. So we're gonna see a significant decrease in where we won't see it go up as fast.
But I assume that's like a car with, it used to be 100,000 miles. It's like,
Yes.
we're probably gonna start having.
Yes, that was what he had kind of likened it to.
A 6-year-old copier is vintage. They're getting there.
Yeah.
Same number of personnel are being requested, no change to that. Moving on, down on page 62, this current fiscal year 26, we didn't have city elections, so you see the expense, what it costs to have a city election, and then not planning for one for another year, so nothing in fiscal 27. Under legal services, this is the fees for a retainer for our city attorney to be at our city council meetings. And then the expenses that relate to billable hours for not only our city attorney, but when we seek outside assistance from a labor attorney, and/or anything with setting up urban renewal plans, just any other type of assistance we might need with some legal things. If it's not, in essence, project specific, like we talked about earlier tonight with the 12th Street project. As well as in that section, we do charge the fees for codification. Anytime we do an ordinance change and getting that information updated online and into our books, those fees are run through this section as well. Next, we have the expenses related to basically the operations, I should say the maintenance of our city hall building, from the gas, electric, any other general maintenance, cleaning. This area does have a couple of maintenance individuals in there. .67 is our maintenance specialist, as well as our custodial cleaning services for City Hall.
Do we still have an outside firm that does the cleaning here, or?
No, we do not.
Okay.
The next area is, what we call tort liability, but basically it's all of our insurance, from our building insurance, property insurance, liability insurance, as well as worker comp is in this particular area. In discussions with we work with Mid-Iowa as our local agent on these items, and they had recommended they are seeing premiums increase for at least the property and the liability portion increase about 5%. Our policy does not renew until July 1st, so I won't have those numbers and those figures here for another few months. And then with the worker comp, I did increase that a little bit more because I took the most recent audited numbers, which was from fiscal 25, and increased it for a 2-year period, up 10%, because when we audited for 25, we had a little bit lower personnel than we were, had some open positions, and now we're fully staffed in fiscal 27. So we're gonna see probably a little bit higher wages that we'll pay worker comp on. And then the final section is what we call our general government. It's kind of the catch-all. If it really doesn't fit in any other area, we pay for it here. Or if it's something that's citywide and it might encompass all employees, we would charge the expense here. For instance, pre-employment physicals for all of our employees, we charge to this area. Because technically they're not hired at that point, so it's not necessarily a departmental expense, but we're charging it here. As well as our wellness program, our flex spending, hearing tests for the individuals that we require to do annual hearing tests. There is an expense in here for a drainage assessment on Drain 77 that runs through the community. The county will assess those charges. They did not know how much they will be at this point, but they said there's likely going to be one next year. So the dollar amount that I budgeted here was the amount that we paid a couple years ago. I figure at least that's a starting point. Hopefully it is not any higher, much higher than that. So.
I have a question. So on page 136, consult and professional fees, there's quite an increase from the year prior.
Page 136, can you tell me what budget that is?
General government, okay.
Yep, that would be for the increase in the audit fee. Not knowing for sure what it's gonna be, I did increase it.
Oh, it's gonna go with that much?
It could, yes.
Oh, okay. Where was that? There was
They
one.
say this could be their last year ever doing that, or was it last year? This year,
The fiscal 25 budget, or excuse me, fiscal 25 audit.
that'll be their last.
It's last of a 3-year, and then I'll seek bids for another 3 years. Don't know for sure if they will bid on it or not.
Right.
And then the training as well, it seems like it, was it, no, $7,000.
So what I'm proposing in there, I had it in this current fiscal year, fiscal 26, but we just haven't, I don't feel we're gonna get to it this year, so I'm looking to maybe ask if we can do it next year. We got new financial software a couple years ago, and I know they have some training sessions that our employees can take part in to learn the software and maybe be more efficient with it. And so I'm hoping that we can utilize some of those dollars to be able to do that for the employees.
Okay, awesome.
One of the things at League of Cities, they were talking about that, there may not be enough auditors around to do everybody's audits coming up. People are getting out of this business.
I've had a conversation with one of the accountants up at our firm now, and they're not completely sure they won't do it because they have somebody else that can audit. But on the flip side, they're not sure. So
Yeah.
we have a very good contract or deal that we have with them. But when we go to a different audit firm, it could change significantly, along with timing. I mean, they do a great job of coming in August and get things knocked out and get everything taken care of, but it could bump us back considerably with a different firm.
So moving on to the next page unless there's any other questions on that area where we call general government.
I do have a question on the Cat 6. Is that still the public
Access
Yes.
channel.
access channel?
Yes,
Do we know the usage on, like, is that a like,
I do not know, like the viewership, I don't know.
yeah, because I mean, that's expensive. I don't know with YouTube and marketing, have we ever looked at that or just, I mean, that's 30 grand and I don't know. Now, if people are using it, we'll keep it, but it just
Well,
seems.
I think there are people using it.
Okay.
We don't have the numbers like YouTube, but we also get, and this is how we pay for it, we get a franchise fee from the cable companies to have that. So it's
Oh,
really not a
okay.
property tax or anything like that. It's a franchise fee agreement from the cable companies that pay for that channel.
They did, okay. Yeah, it just seemed like, I was like, man, Cat, like, I don't know, maybe some people might watch.
Well, it also helps with having the lady here in the back that run the cameras during our meetings where she switches the cameras where if nobody's back there, we have the back, I forget which one, but we just have a back view and it's just
Okay.
kind of like the supervisors, they have one camera and you can't see anything with it, you don't know who's talking.
I always blame everything on Scott, so it doesn't really matter.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself, Scott.
How does that work? Cat 6 gives that to YouTube, downloads it to YouTube?
No, YouTube, we set that up and we set up the YouTube live and it's going.
Okay,
Yep, and then we can download it to replay on the cable channel, and we also post it to our website, our city website. As well as you can go to YouTube and look and search for the city of Carroll, Iowa, and you can see all of our meetings out there.
for years back,
Yes.
done that.
What's the first thing that gets posted then? Would it be on YouTube? The very first, if somebody wanted to watch it, what's the quickest they could watch them?
So immediately when we get done with here, YouTube.
Yep.
On YouTube right afterwards.
Yes.
Well, and YouTube Live is going right now.
Sure, so it's.
So they can watch it on
As soon as
YouTube.
they're done, it stops and it's ready to.
Yes,
No,
I
they
believe so, yep.
Well, they watch it live, but then once it's shut off, then it goes right onto YouTube.
Sure,
Yep.
okay.
So what's Kelly do in the mornings? I think she told me she downloads it to YouTube.
Well, she pulls it off of YouTube, she downloads it from YouTube. She might edit it a little bit at some of that front at the beginning, because you don't need the full 30 minutes of the music going.
yeah.
And then she'll post it to our city website.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Then the next section here is our general fund transfers, where we do have some funding sources that come into the general fund.
What page are
including-
you on, Laura?
I'm just on the summary on page 64 under tab E.
Okay, gotcha.
But the funding that's coming into the general fund the big portion is, just the way state code works. We levy or we ask for taxes to help cover employee benefits. State code says we have to deposit that into a special revenue fund, a different pot, all by itself. Then from there, you can transfer those funds to cover your expenses. So some of those tax dollars that we collect for employee benefits, some of it goes into the reduced tax to cover employee benefits, and then the remainder goes into the general fund to cover employee benefits for employees that are paid out of the general fund. That's the big portion of that, and then also, I don't remember what else I have in there this year.
This is, the employee benefits line item is also the line item that, to lower our levy this year further than what the property tax or the general CGFL was set at. That was the line item that we put and added dollars from local option sales tax to buy that down. It's also a note that some of our employee benefits aren't just in the employee benefits line item. We are paying some of our employee benefits in the CGFL or the 810 levy for some of you guys that knew what the 810 levy is. So we don't have we're not levying for the entire amount of employee benefits because we've got some of it pushed into the general fund, but we also are lowering that levy artificially with the local option sales tax because we have a decent balance in that local option sales tax this year.
And another big transfer into the general fund is from the water and the sewer utility funds to cover their portion of the insurance items that we pay for out of the general fund, or the costs that we have. They're just coded or expensed out of the general fund, so water and sewer help cover their portion. Any questions on the transfers? If not, on
I
the
do,
page.
what's
Oh,
the
sorry.
$1,700 on the cable TV finance, is that?
Yep, that's the next section. Our general revenues, which is under tab E, page 65, and
That's
then
what you were talking about, was it 72, is that what you're?
yes, yep, it's under tab L, page 145 is what you're looking at, I believe, Jason. So, yep, the cable franchise fee, it is going down, and we are noticing that we are not receiving as much revenue as we have in the past. So there is a slight decrease being reflected in here. So this page 145 and the summary that I've got on the screen is basically the biggest areas where we receive in and show the collection of the property taxes from the 810 or the CGFL, the combined general fund levy, the ag land tax, as well as what we're asking for taxes to cover insurance costs. Also on this page, you'll see there's a line item called property tax replacement. That was some backfill funding that the state had given cities a number of years ago when they made a change to, oh boy, I'm trying to remember which change this was again.
That was the commercial property taxes where they reduced that and they were backfilling that,
Oh,
correct?
when they went from being taxed at 100% to being taxed at 90%. They went to
Yeah.
95
then
and
to
then
90, yep.
90%.
Also the multifamily.
The
I
state
think-
was.
Or they didn't
backfilling some
backfill
of
that at all, did they? Or
No,
did they
that
just
didn't.
change it to, yeah, they just changed that to residential, which will be changing here again.
But
which
you'll
is
notice in
interesting.
fiscal 27 that that number is zero, because the state, after a few years, decided not to fund that anymore, and there's a phase-out period, and at the end of fiscal 26, the city of Carroll will receive the last amount from the state on that, and then nothing for fiscal 27.
Then you have farmland rent on 147, is that for the airport there?
No, this is some other land that the city, rents out by the wastewater treatment plant.
How many acres?
Randy, do you remember off the top of your head?
No, I don't. It's probably in the range of 13, maybe 13, 15 acres, something like that.
That would be my guess as well. The remainder of this section or this area on here also shows the amount of interest that,
And has that ever changed? That 3,375, or it's just been consistently for?
it's been that way for quite a number of years, yes. I'm not sure exactly what we're charging per acre.
13? Or I guess, let me know how many acres it is. You don't have to do it today, just, if you let me know how many acres it is.
Okay? So those are kind of, I think those are the main areas remaining under the general fund, if anybody had any questions. I do want to talk about, but before we leave the general fund, we do want to spend a little bit of time and look at the stuff that's being proposed to be paid out of both hotel motel as well as local option sales tax. But if there are no other questions, the best way to probably look at those two areas is in the front cover of your book. There were two sheets that were provided that were summaries of both of those funds. So if you can find the one for hotel motel tax collections. This might be a little bit easier to try to see, and there's maybe a little bit better description on some of these items than looking at line items in the budget book itself. On the conservative side, yes, I'm only estimating roughly 240,000 for hotel tax collections. I know the prior 2 years have been a little bit higher than that. It's always a guess, you never know on how much the hotels are gonna be rented, but hopefully it stays strong and that I'm off the mark there, that it will definitely see over closer to the 260 or the 270. We do charge some interest to the balance that's in this fund. And then walking down, under the column that says budget 27, we just have a few things out of this, fund proposed this year, or in fiscal 27. The chamber has requested 35,000 for the tourism promotion again, which they've been at 35,000 for a number of years. Some community development and public relations things. These are some items that would, if the opportunity, I believe this is where, we are charging or expensing, I shouldn't say charging, expensing. The city is participating in the I Believe in Carroll ad campaign that's going on. So we're using hotel motel tax to pay for that.
It went from 25 to 200,000.
Where are you at?
I'm on 142. Community betterment.
Downtown tourism initiative there. I think,
Yep, we're getting there.
Okay.
We're getting there, yep.
I thought this was all put together, I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, the downtown tourism initiative, we don't have a cost estimate right now, but we're proposing to use hotel motel taxes to cover any initiative that council would later approve.
I'm working on a RFP right now for those downtown art projects and stuff like that, those would be tourism driven to draw people to the downtown.
Are we gonna see that, Aaron, before we have to vote on this?
Oh, absolutely.
Or you mean before you said it, approve the budget?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't
the
know.
RFP? No,
No.
probably not. But just because it's budgeted does not mean we spend it. You would have an approval to, if we go to an RFP and we get proposals back and you say, no, we don't wanna do that, then we just don't do it.
I love you, Aaron, but not that comment, just if it's budgeted, we always go down this road later on.
No, that's not true. I mean,
We do, a common trend and a statement up here is, well, it doesn't matter, it's already budgeted for, right? Like, that's a concern, that's a large number there that's sitting there. And we do hear, and I'm sure the audience and everyone else, we do hear a lot, oh, don't worry about it, it was budgeted for. So that's where the kind of concern is, it went from 25 to $200,000, that's a massive jump.
But it would take council approval to spend that money, right?
absolutely.
Yes.
But the jump is because of the murals and things.
New project.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, we
completely
actually have no
different.
idea.
Yeah,
how
we have
to spend it.
no idea what it's gonna cost.
But we wanted to show
Could be
some
$5 million.
allocation of funding, and this is,
Correct.
would be the proposed allocation of funding source for
It's an
that
estimate.
project. Are there any other questions on the hotel motel summary and what's being proposed in this area?
Just for my knowledge, again, when we talked about the theater improvements the other day, 100,000, that's just in the budget for the rec center theater, but it's not been used yet, correct?
Correct.
It would just roll over if we do not use it?
It would take a budget amendment. If it doesn't get spent in fiscal 26, it would take a budget amendment to have the authority to spend that in fiscal 27.
Otherwise, it just falls off.
Yes.
Correct, it just goes
Thank
back
you.
to the fund that it's in.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, the other page then was for local option sales tax collections. There's a few more items in this one, and at some point this is gonna almost get too small to read. So up towards the top is where we show the actual collections that we project. We have been pretty consistent around that 2.1 million. A little bit over the last couple of years, but so I feel 2.1 million is a good estimate, going forward. We have been utilizing this fund to do some advanced resolutions to pay for some improvements in the downtown area that we're requesting TIF to reimburse. So there's some TIF reimbursement that is coming back into this fund. Then we start getting into the expense side of things, and there's a whole laundry list of items. I think almost for the most part, we've discussed most of these, but we'll just highlight a few of them. I'm not well, we have talked about the outside agency funding. I know I grouped this all together. What's being proposed here for $64,240. is the current agencies that we are supporting and at the same level funding that they were at in fiscal '26.
So that's that list, which was RSVP,
Yes.
community op,
Yep.
that we've already
yep,
had in the budget.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Does not include Elder Bridge or the
Children's
Children's Museum, right, this is just the current ones that we have been funding for years.
So I see this 500, 750, and 275. Is that gonna be a common trend going forward so that we have more tax revenue to go to projects, or is?
Okay, I'm sorry, what numbers? are you
Those are
talking about?
street rehab projects,
Yeah.
so that would be budgeting down the road for when we have smaller street projects. That's what Randy uses those funds for, rather than, the big reconstruction like we're doing here on 12th Street.
We are including some local option sales tax funding for 12th Street, is that correct? Yes.
Yes, there is some in there.
So we, yes, historically have been utilizing local option sales tax funding
Yeah, I mean,
towards 12th Street.
it's 100,000 in there, so I see this 500, I'm hoping that once we do these bigger capital improvements, that's what, I assume that's what we're budgeting for even, so that we have a larger amount of money to put into them, instead of taking bonds and things like that. I like the idea, I'm not, this isn't like a tax, I love the idea of this.
No, probably not,
I
because,
don't love it.
well, the problem is you got a $4 million project, and putting money aside is fine, but yet, then we'll have a $500 resurfacing project or something coming up that we would either bond for, or we would pay for the smaller things through that. And since we're doing a rather significant bond here this year, we won't have an opportunity, but while maintaining that bond, debt service levy, we won't have an opportunity to bond for a couple of years. So we need to, there might be some smaller ones, but we need to make sure we have some funds to continue street maintenance projects in the process.
Okay.
So, to give you a little bit more detail on that, under tab C, page 35, there is a breakdown of the local option sales tax funding for those projects. And you can see by fiscal year and which projects is being projected that money goes towards.
Laura, you also have a note here under tax relief, going from 200,000 to 525. How do you come up with the numbers as far as, okay, I think we're gonna increase it? How do you estimate where you wanna go with that?
I guess it's not necessarily identified at this point going from fiscal 28 out. But most generally, we're looking at a minimum of 25% of the collections going towards the tax relief. So that can be in the form of, the 200,000 went towards the levy. But there's also other projects on here that had they not been paid by.
Would have come out of the levy.
It would have come out of the
So
levy.
this 425, as long as it doesn't get burned on like smaller things, and that will be a rollover into our next capital improvement, whatever it may be.
425, what number are you looking at?
So I'm looking at, we're on 32.
Page 32, you said?
Yeah, page 32, isn't that what we're on?
35 had the more, focal
5-year plan.
point of the local option sales tax funding itself.
You're talking about the street restoration of 2027? That's
Yeah.
4.25?
Yeah, 4.25,
And then-
29,
then there's-
4.25, and then 31, 4.25.
So yes, we're budgeting 4.25 for street restoration, which would be patching, you can help me with this, along with overlays and stuff like that. Along with, then the next thing down a little bit further below, you can see that there's $75,000 for street resurfacing in 2028. So we're budgeting $500,000 out of local option sales tax for street resurfacing, patching, and then not necessarily engineering, but planning for 2028 in those funds.
In simple terms, we're anticipating $500,000 a year from local option sales tax to the street projects. So that's what this reflects. 75,000 in one year for design, 425 the following year for construction. That same year, 75,000 to design the next one, 425 for construction. Then we get into that Clark Street project that we applied for the federal funding. In total, on here, it's still at 500,000 a year average for the street projects, support from local option sales tax.
Okay, that makes sense. Sorry, all right, let's get back.
And all of this is designed to help us maintain that debt service levy roughly at $1.40
Yes,
over a period of several years.
yes.
And the other thing, one of the main things the public wants is street repairs.
And I think we learned last meeting we're falling further and further behind every year because of the age and such of some of them.
So on this list, going back to our piece of paper with the local option sales tax and the different projects, I believe we've talked about these somewhere, almost everything on this list somewhere throughout the budget discussions, but are there any particular questions about any of these?
I guess the one final note is with the couple budget, I guess I would say policies that Laura and I are trying to implement this year is maintaining a 3% cash growth in our overall, is it overall or did we just do?
We did overall.
Pretty much overall budget. So whatever our CGFL comes in at, then if it's super high like it was this year, we will reduce and lower our levy. If it's tight, then we will try and supplement to create that 3%. Now, if it's not needed, i.e. if we can maintain expenses, our personnel costs stay at a minimum, then we don't need that 3% and we won't use that much, but that's kind of a target. And then the other part of that is to target a balance in our local option sales tax at around the $2 million mark. So if we have emergencies or anything like that, we can adjust and utilize the balances that we have in local option sales tax. Because that's gonna, in the end, that's gonna be our emergency fund because of how the state is crimping down on our levying ability.
Does anybody know, has there been much discussion in this legislative session about them tinkering with local option sales tax anymore? Is that 0.5% thing still out there somewhere?
Yeah, it is. But it's being, the Senate file where if you're 60 and over and you have your mortgage paid off, you can have your taxes eliminated. Well, that's $1 million out of our pocket. But our increase for local option sales tax is 1/2, so, you know, you get 2.1, so you're basically another $1 million, so that's a wash. But the problem is Glidden can't get their local option sales tax to even equal 50% of what they're gonna lose, because their population that can get that money reduced out of their property taxes is 52% of the people. We're 22 or 23%. Jefferson's like 35%
Isn't the first funnel this week?
next week.
Is it next week?
But
But that
I
might
think
be
that's an
funnel proof.
appropriation or a budgeting bill.
So that just
might
goes
be
on.
funnel proof, yeah.
Yeah.
But eventually they'll be blending potentially these 4
Yeah, they're
or
gonna
5
take,
plans.
they're gonna
that-
take all three, the House, the Senate, and the governor, and they're going to blend and try and get, they mentioned that today, a little bit of each one and work it back and forth until they can.
Okay.
Who
The
mentioned that? When you say they, are you talking about?
the legislatures, yeah. The one thing that's probably gonna get cut is the 10% cash reserve. Because if you have that, then if you go to borrow, then your Moody's rating is, your interest rates will be higher, so it sounds like that's gonna get off the table.
Reason being Moody's requires us to have 25%.
Oh, sure, no, I get it.
So,
You can go up to, I think you can go up to 40%, is what they're saying.
along with that, with our local option sales tax, we talked about Elder Bridge. I was asked to get a few more a little bit more information. The county supports Elder Bridge at $19,000-ish from the county. Last year, they served 231 residents of Carroll. This year, they're at 157 already, so they're actually moving. They're being more successful, or they're serving more people in the city of Carroll.
So that's city residents? that
Those
they
are
serve?
city residents. Deb had asked how much, where these dollars are gonna go. It's gonna go into their general fund operations expense. It's not a project, it's just general fund operations. Basically, they said it would go to snow removal, home care, home health care, durable medical equipment, and meals. So it is an operations item for them.
Everybody.
Yeah, it's going into their, in our case, our terms, general fund.
I think maybe you misunderstood my question, because what I sent you was based on their report that ended on,
You sent that to me yesterday, and I didn't have I wouldn't have time to get that for you today.
yeah, but my question is, they have said they have lost federal grant money, or they've lost federal funds. And so I'm asking, what is their budget for fiscal year ending 6/30/25, based on what they've had reported on 6/30/25 versus 26? Like, where are they losing the money? Is it state, is it federal?
Sorry, I thought you wanted to know where the dollars that we were going to give them was gonna go to.
Well, that answered my question. My question, I think Carolyn's too, was the money going back to Carroll County residents? And it sounds like it's just going in a pot that,
Well-
or Carroll City residents.
Well, I would say that we have a large majority of their service, and I think it's probably a good thing. I'm not saying us giving them more money is a good thing, but I'm just saying what they do support Carroll County resident, or Carroll City residents, probably at a more proportionate rate than what they do outside the city of Carroll.
What percentage would that be?
I can't give you that one. I don't have that.
One of the emails that we received mentioned this Elderbridge ask for the $6,000. And I guess I was gonna ask that question. They suggested in that email that since the county is already donating $19,000,
$19,000.
that in essence, if we gave money as well, it would be a double dip for the citizens of Carroll, because we're making a donation through our city taxes and through our county taxes. Is that relevant, or is that?
That's a council decision. You'll notice that the outside agency funding for all of our outside agency expenses are in local option sales tax, which means it's not the property tax. And so while funds are kind of fungible, but they're not. But as far as taxes are concerned, it's not a property tax. And as you well know, and I wish I had that number, or I don't think CCGB could give it to me, is how much funds for local option sales tax actually come from people outside of our city limits.
Jeff, or everyone, I talked and exchanged texts with Scott, and he said I could use his name. And I asked him about the funding from the supervisors, which is like 87,000, just under, or 18,000, just under
And some
19.
change.
And I asked him, and he said, really, Carroll is 50% of the county. We're 10,000, the county's 20,000. So we're helping a lot of people in Carroll. And I said, well, what is the most? He said, we always give them what they ask, because they serve such a vital interest. And he said they're really providing basic needs to people who are in need. And I had another visit with him, asked more questions. He said all the dollars we give, county, city, basically is going to mainly Carroll residents. And he said the most important thing to all the supervisors, he said it's always 100%, they vote for it, is the meals. There are so many people that need nutrition. They have the meals at the rec center. St. Anthony provides the food. They hire everyone. They clean sidewalks. They do, shovel people out. They hire people locally. So he said they're really leveraging all the money that we give as a city and the county, hiring local people. And So he said that they figured out, let me find his text. He said they figured out as a body that it was a 27-to-1 return on investment. And he said, again, Meals on Wheels to shut-ins go to mainly city people. So, I mean, that's what he told me, that kind of filled in things I didn't hear from Emily. And,
Those numbers will significantly go now, because now they're double dipping off the taxpayer. I mean, those numbers are gonna go significantly down, they're double dipping off the taxpayer here.
well, we're using local option sales tax, and that comes from people from all over the county that are showing up and spending in Carroll. So it could be.
Which I agree, it's still, they're still
Yeah,
double dipping.
so, well, I'm just sharing, I'm the messenger, I'm just sharing information, Scott. I said, what is your rationale? Why do you always give them what they ask for? He said, we believe in it.
Yeah.
I'm not that I don't believe in it and don't want to help people, but they have a funding source budget of almost $7.8 million.
Right.
So yes, this is pennies on that, right? But what are their funding sources in the current fiscal year they're in? I mean, they should be able to provide that with one click of an email. They should have a PDF budget that they're working on with their current fiscal year that ends on 6/30/26. Like, where is the big?
7.8 for how big of an area then?
This is
The
their
entire
budget.
state?
This is their 29 counties, I would assume,
29,
because
okay.
Right, it is.
it is off their annual report that she sent over. Well, you can get it on their website.
Right, right.
So it's like, where did their cuts come from that Emily expressed that evening?
I did look for that. I went all over the internet over the weekend today and just tried to find out their 27 budget, or they're going, right now, they're going before the county board of supervisors in their counties. So I read a bunch of articles, and I could not find anything about what they are anticipating for their budget, but they're going around, they're applying for grants, and the main theme, whatever I read, was they're anticipating, and well, the state's gonna work on their budget, they're anticipating, they're asking for additional funding because they're anticipating cuts from both the state and the federal government, and they just don't know what they're going to be faced with. So that's all I was able to find out.
It'd be nice to know that number first.
I know, but they're trying to head off, I don't know, that, just from what I've read.
Did they happen to mention, Aaron, as I don't know how much you've spoken to them, how they arrived at the $6,000 or
I didn't
Just
ask that
random.
question.
okay?
Yeah,
So,
She had mentioned that they're getting federal cuts, but she never gave us a dollar amount.
Right.
no.
That would help with what you're thinking.
when they pay the county, it's based on a per capita. So I would guess there's something similar to that, is what their choice for dollars were, requests from us.
And there's currently nothing in the budget for it.
We do not have that budgeted. We don't have the child museum budgeted either.
Did anybody from the Children's Museum offer an alternative? I think we were all a little bit surprised at the amount that was asked for. I think on the surface, it sounds like a nice deal for the downtown, might help draw people to the downtown area, similar to the $200,000 project that we talked about earlier. But, I mean, in my head, I was thinking we might be asking for $5,000 or something like that. Has anybody from the Children's Museum offered an alternate proposal, or?
They haven't contacted me with any alternates. When we get said and done with the budget, and I'll send them a letter. But I think if they were to get a state IEDA grant or something like that, I don't know if the council would be willing that if I said, if you're in the running for this type of a grant, the city would be a opportunity to match or get their match, kind of like a catalyst grant or,
That's what, it's $100,000.
yeah, well, that's the catalyst. But there are other grants out there. So I don't know if the
I find
council
it
would be
hard to
willing with
believe
that.
that even a grant would fund the purchase of a building
I don't
for
disagree
two
with that.
individuals.
No, I don't think so.
That's it, like, that's, I love the idea of it, but it's just not feasible or real life for government to purchase buildings for individuals. That's just, I mean, I want that deal. Buy my house, you know what I mean? I think everybody in here wants that deal. When I wanna move, I want you to buy my house in Florida. That's not on the taxpayers, you know what I mean?
Yep.
If I move, and so it's really hard to stomach, and so I don't wanna give false hope.
So-
If you get a grant, you know what I mean, it's, the purchase of a building for an individual is not any place for the government in my eyes.
I'm not real sure if they know how we're feeling about this yet. If, you know,
Well, I think we talked about it last time, and I mean, I'll be the bad guy, I guess, again, but I mean, every business.
We kinda went that way,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
we
yeah.
didn't.
I think
really
what he's
didn't
saying
make
is
it
they're not
official.
aware of where we're at
At
with
least we
it.
could have a vote on it to see where we're at, if that's
Well-
possible, or I don't.
Well,
If they wanna come back to us with an alternative, they should probably understand where we're at with this 125,000. I'm not sure if they know that.
There's no need to have a vote on it if we just guide you to send them a letter or whatever, or
Yep.
call them and say, this is not something the council
is interested, and I can do, that was my
Is that
intent
all right
at the
with
end.
everybody?
But I think that, and my question is, I think that everyone agrees on a fundamental basis, whether it's $5 or it's $120,000. Even if it's $5, every business, you know, can love you to death, but if you're getting free $5, you take $5, right? You know, like, I mean, that's the fundamental of what we're doing, just doesn't seem to fit what the intent of government is for. And maybe that's my own personal opinion. You guys can caveat upon that.
I love what they have down there. I've been there with my grandkids. It's great, but I really feel like, Jason, it's not our place to spend tax dollars, even if it's local option sales tax, to fund
Yep.
somebody's business or buy a building, because then we're setting a precedent. We don't want to go down that road.
It's only a matter of time before you have others that come forward asking for the
Exactly.
same thing.
That's three, is there?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So, hang on.
Yeah.
Don't- So, after having all that conversation, we've presented the budget. Are there any, and as you know, the daycare's not in there, Elderbridge is not in there. Are there any changes that the council would like to make to the budget currently presented?
Daycare, you're talking about the Children's Museum, right?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
sorry, I'm sorry. Yes.
I would say no at this time.
I still have more questions on the airport hangar project, using $390,000 of the lost sales tax money. I did have a brief conversation this afternoon with Greg. I only had a few minutes before I had to come in here. But for me, it's difficult, and I've asked him, has anybody approached anybody for corporate sponsorship, making a donation towards that, you know? And he said that's not something they had done yet. I think we may want to encourage that. I'd make some phone calls and see if that's an option for those people who are the local corporations who are using it or who need that, instead of having all that burden on taxpayers. And I get it's lost money, but it still comes from our taxpayers, and it really is benefiting just a small handful of people with corporate jets. And I get we need an airport for the city and all of that, but it's, you know, just a very small handful of people that get to use that.
I would agree with Deb on that. And that was one of the
So
questions
if you
we asked.
get corporate sponsorship, are you going to have to make it first come, first served for them? Are you looking at that?
You
or
want to
is it
name the
just
building after them? Yeah, I would.
Pay for the plaque?
Deb, I remember when Greg was discussing this, and it's more about corporate jets that are coming in, like the Pelajet. Mayo Clinic used to come here, but they need it for, they're going to stay for several hours, need it because of weather, safety, the icing,
It's
the old, the old hangar, the jets have outgrown it. So what, I don't know, are we to approach Mayo Clinic and ask them?
He did make it
Or-
clear to me today, they're not something they're going to rent, because it's a federal airport, they can't charge landing fees. I get that. It's
Right.
more of a transient, which even makes it the payback on this is even smaller. There's really no payback at all to the taxpayer.
I would think that these corporations, if it's truly a big problem, would be excited to do a partnership like we always talk about with the city. I think if it's, like, if Pella's having a problem or whatever corporation is having a problem with this, like, this is a perfect opportunity for them to step up and say, hey, we have a problem out here, you know, and we need to, this is how we're gonna fix it, we're gonna put our money where our mouth is.
So a few years ago, Carroll used to have the Life Flight helicopter, and they lost it, and it went to Audubon. What's the reason behind that, I guess?
I think.
I think you know, don't you?
I asked several people on that, including, sat at this desk, and I got 3 different answers from everybody. No one would give me the true answer why that left Carroll. They all dodged the bullet on that.
I mean, because when I look at it, like, I understand money's money, but like on something like that, like, if we could have had that here for $200,000 or $500,000, like, is my life worth that? I mean, I would think that it is, like, or a family member, like, and really for a city, why are we losing it to a smaller community, you know?
So if we bring a corporate hangar here, is Lifeline coming back?
I'm just using that as an example, like, why did we
Well,
lose?
That's not
Well, if
even
it-
the same realm.
but
If Lifeline's coming back because we need a corporate hangar, then if that's why they need to, for them to come back, if they need a corporate hangar, I got it. But that's not the situation that we're dealing with now. I don't think at all.
Then it was so. Then it was, because we didn't have the right hangar. That was part of the equation, not the whole thing.
Another thing to consider is
So why was this, so are they coming back if we build the hangar?
Oh, that I can't answer that one. I do not know.
well,
Where
I
did
just,
this all come
to
from?
shift gears a bit, when you look at the funding for this, typically, when we get our grants from the Iowa DOT and from the FAA, and they have been calling the commission because they have invested so much money to this point over the last 40 years that they believe they have invested wisely and they want to keep investing. We would be leaving over $1 million in free money from both the state and federal people on the table. And typically, any grants we get from the state, federal, it's a 90%, 10% split, with them paying 90, us coming up with the 10%. And it's kind of like the IEDA. Once they start investing, they want what they've invested in to thrive and remain viable. So they've been calling Carroll. That is important, but they're also like the IEDA told us when we had our meeting in the boardroom down at the chamber, and Jim Thompson said to us, you better jump on board. It's a new era, and we have money, and if you turn it down, we're going to go to someone else. And when Greg and Norm spoke, they talked about Atlantic is going to get a 90-10 split. Atlantic's city council turned down spending the 10% for whatever the project is. So they called Carroll, and they had to make a big decision right away. Greg told us this, I think Jason was gone.
I listened to it in its entirety.
Yeah, good. And so I'm thinking that neither the state nor the FAA wants to waste money. And they have invested in us over the decades because they believe the projects they're funding at 90% of the cost is a worthy project.
So I got two questions, and one, I don't understand why free money always costs the taxpayers money. And second, I wanna go back to Life Flight. What proof is there that, cause in the original statement said you asked 3 people, you got 3 different answers, and now you're saying that all of a sudden Life Flight left because of the hangar. What proof, like, do we have that I can, because if that's the truth, that Life Flight is not here because of that hangar, I need to find out, because that is a completely different story.
I didn't hear
I
that.
didn't hear it either. I heard him say that might have been one of the factors.
Part of the equation.
Yeah.
What part of the equation? Where is the proof that that is even part of the equation?
I mean, clearly
I guess
didn't have.
Kyle, and this is more directed to you, cause you are, where does this life flight, what part of the equation, I guess, is this life flight?
I don't know, I'm just asking, I just know that we lost it. I've heard people say to me like, you guys lost the life flight in Carroll and went to Audubon. Like, there's a reason we lost it, like.
And they're saying because of a corporate hangar.
No.
I don't know why.
Why are we even, that's very, I don't like that
Used as an
we go
example.
from a
An
corporate
example.
hangar to now Carroll people aren't getting life flight because there isn't a corporate hangar. That's not a correct statement.
I think it was
That's
just
not
an
fair
example.
to-
That's not what they said.
Nobody
Okay,
said that. That was an
like,
example.
that's how I perceived it as, is, I don't know how you perceived it, is we jumped to life flight all of a sudden talking about a corporate helicopter.
I'm just saying, if we don't wanna play offense, we better have a hell of a defensive plan. So, I'm just bringing up the life flight. Why did we lose that, for an example? I have no idea why we lost it.
I spoke with somebody who's familiar with the McLaughlin purchase in Mississippi, and he told me that as they were looking for potential locations, the airport, the availability of a hangar was critical, and that had it not had that, or if the city had not agreed to do it, they would have gone somewhere else. I look at that as something that obviously has an impact. The other thing that I guess comes to mind is we invest $390,000 and we gain a $1.6 million facility out of it. The second thing that comes to mind, I guess, from a local standpoint, although it's local option sales tax money that we could use for something else, I guess the thing that I'm looking at, just with Pella as having been brought up as an example, this is a company that's been in Carroll for 45 years now with 700 employees. It's a huge economic driver for our community. And I know Jason mentioned at the last meeting that a lot of these $22 an hour employees are questioning, why would any of my tax money go for that? Well, one, it's not property tax money, it's local option money, but at the same time, because we have an airport like that and some of the infrastructure that we have, we were able to attract a business like Pella. I know the hospital, I don't know what they've got in the way of airplanes, but the hospital's got, I think, the largest employer in town at 750 employees. I think that although it's not a direct impact back to me, because I don't have an airplane, probably never will, there's an impact to the community as a whole because of the ability to have a Pella and a St. Anthony's and a Cormark and the places that potentially would utilize the jet traffic and a hangar.
So we're just not gonna go ask for these corporations that have this.
Oh, no, I think we should. I think we should. I'm just saying, I don't think the hangar's
I need to interrupt here. We're just trying to put this money away. We don't have to spend it for the future. So, tonight, that's our decision. Do we want to put that money off to the side? And then Deb and Jason, if you got some questions, you have to go do some research out there and find out to answer your questions, and then come back, and then at that point, then we discuss this as a council. But if we say no right now, we have no alternative. But if we say yes to put this money set aside for possibly using it, then we can decide at a later date.
So then what is the 32,500 in the current reestimate of fiscal 25-26 for under the corporate hangar project? Where'd that come from, and what is that for?
That was also out of lost, and that was for engineering that hasn't occurred yet. That's coming in the next.
And that was something that was approved by at the last
It would
budget.
have been, yeah.
They just
There's
hired.
parentheses around it, so it's not spent yet.
And I do want to remind you, it's in the line item, the rent that the airport gets. I believe it's in 27 budget, and correct me, Laura, but they've been consistently giving that rent to the city to put in the general fund. They don't keep it
Farm
and
rent
spend
is,
it.
yes.
Yeah, the rent from the land out there. And so I don't have my book open to it. I believe it's 50,000 rent. They turn it all over the city. Is that right?
Yes.
Every year.
Yes.
But they also have expense against that in that budget book, so it
Yeah,
netted
yeah.
about 16,000.
That's our farmland out there,
Well,
right?
Right,
That's our
but
farmland.
But
They-
realistic, we have to decide tonight. Do you wanna take that 390,000 out of there and have no options, or do you wanna keep it in?
Is tonight the only night? I mean, are we wrapped up on budget? Like,
Well, we're wrapping up what we're going to present. Local option sales tax isn't part of the levy, but we're just wrapping up what we're presenting as a budget. And obviously, as you go down the road, if the council decides they don't wanna do that project, then it doesn't get spent. That's an expense that obviously has to have council approval to spend.
Can they even apply for the federal grants if this money isn't in place?
I don't know that.
I can't answer that. They
Wouldn't be enough to pay for it.
wouldn't be, yeah, they wouldn't be able to go too far down the process without our consent or matching funds.
Because I would think in the application process itself, there has to be some kind of a
It is.
stipulation that the local government's gonna come up with a match.
Yeah.
It's required, so
Oh, it
yes.
is, yeah.
So there's two things we have to, as I see it, two things we have to decide if we want changed. One would be whether the $390,000 should be presented in our budget, and the other one is, Elder Bridge tonight, right? I mean, does anyone wanna make a motion to change and add Elder Bridge to it, cause it's not in there now? Does anybody wanna do that at this time? No?
Well, I think we can, the same thing as the airport. If we agree to do it now, then we need more information yet so we can
Okay.
not spend it. We're really just trying to set dollars aside tonight and later on figure out how to spend it. So if there's some concerns, then somebody's gotta do some research on those concerns and then we can decide at a later date. But if we don't put it in the budget now, then that's,
Right, so that's what I'm,
yeah, we're just okaying to spend some money if it works out.
alright, so we need to decide if we want, the council needs to decide if it wants money set aside for Elder Bridge at this time, to be presented in the budget,
Yes, and not spent at this time, yes.
okay? Is
I'll
there-
make that motion.
And do you have a dollar amount?
6,000 is what they're wanting.
Okay, so you're making a motion to add $6,000 in the budget to contribute to Elder Bridge?
And then some homework has to be done on,
Yeah, we understand
Yep.
that, but is there a second to add that? Anybody wanna second that? Alright, there's no second for it, so.
I'll second
You
it.
wanna second it?
Sure.
Okay, then we'll bring it to a vote.
Dirks,
yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes,
Atherton,
No.
Kaler,
Yes.
Coster,
no.
for 4-2.
Alright, and then the only other thing that seems to be discussed is the
Well, I would just,
$390,000.
at this point, it's in the budget, so
It's in there,
that's-
so it doesn't need to
As
be.
budget is presented
Well-
with the change to Elder Bridge, that would be your motion.
it also was our second highest council priority in our
Right.
planning session.
Right. So, can we make that motion this evening or not? Do we have to set up, well, we could, yes.
Yeah, we need the council's
make-
approval to approve the budget presented.
So we've added the Elder Bridge. All right, I'd look for a motion to
Well,
approve.
before we do that, can I just,
Sure.
I would like to
Please.
just, walk through the next steps, just so everybody knows
Okay,
what's the next steps in this whole budget process.
all right.
So, also with approving the budget, you're setting the max levy that you're presenting to your citizens. So that definitely has to be done, and I have to have the online stuff done by March 5th for the state. So, once we set that max levy, and if what's presented here tonight is okay with council, that would be part of this motion, is you're setting the max levy. So we'll put that out online, and then the county will grab all that information from all the taxing entities and create their mailing, their required notice that goes to all the gets mailed to all the property tax payers. We would, according to our schedule, will hold our public hearing, we have to hold a public hearing on that max levy, so we will hold that at our March 23rd council meeting. That same night, then, we will set the public hearing for the entire budget, and then hold the public hearing on the entire budget on the April 13th meeting. If there's no changes, or even if there's changes, at the point that we approve the setting the public hearings and things, that sets the maximum amount, we're at the top dollars. If there's changes, they would have to be lower.
So in the event that the research that anybody came up with cause the council to say, oh, we don't want to do the 390 or the 6,000. We can always go down, we just can't go up once the max is set.
Yes, correct. And so if there would be any changes at the public hearing time, to approve the entire budget on at the April 13th meeting, I would make those changes and then have to get the, official budget filed with the state by April 30th. So I just wanted to make sure everybody kind of knew the steps that we were walking through to finish out.
And
this
this
whole
one,
budget
the step, some of the steps you just talked about are new, right? Having to send out the mailings and all that kind of the public hearing on
process.
the,
In the sense
last-
that,
2 years ago,
Yeah.
2 years ago, they,
Yeah.
Right
they
after I
started
finished,
sending out
yeah.
that really confusing letter.
Yeah,
yeah,
and that's gonna get cut from the bills. Pretty good, it sounds like. It's not official yet, but it's heading that way.
What's
Only one mailing.
so if tonight council is okay with what the proposal is, then that'll set our max levy that we'll put it out on the Department of Management's website, that'll be in the mailing that goes to the citizens, or the taxpayers.
And Laura, remind me, we lowered it by what, 90, was it?
91 cents. I believe.
91 cents.
12.16 down to 11.25.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we look for that motion, set the levy, but we don't know exactly what it would be if we, since we passed this.
But you know what the maximum would be.
Right. So the
Right.
max,
Right, with this change of the 6,000 adding for Elder Bridge, that won't change the levy. Because we would propose that it comes out of local option sales tax, just like all the other
Oh,
outside agency
okay.
funding. Yeah.
So basically, we're approving the budget as presented at this point, along with the Elder Bridge change.
which is already in there, so, all right, is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Carolyn,
second.
second by Jeff, roll call please.
Seaman,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Coster,
Yes.
Atherton,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Dirks.
Yes.
Motion is carried.
All right, any, nothing else to add, is there a motion to, well, movement, I don't have any, we need to go through comments first, I didn't think about, I don't have any comments this evening, anything from the council?
I do.
All right, go ahead.
Last week, I was out of town, ironically, at a cancer situation for a friend of mine in Des Moines, and I read online that Mike and Amy McLaughlin had donated $1 million to the hospital for their PET scanner. And as somebody, my entire family has been wiped out by cancer, so it really hit home that somebody stepped up to the plate. So I think publicly, I think it's worth thanking them for a very generous donation towards a worthwhile project for not just us, but basically we're a regional healthcare center. And so it's gonna save a lot of people time, money, and things like that during a pretty trying time anyway, so.
Absolutely.
Very good, thank you for doing that.
I'm sorry to hear about your friend there, Jeff.
Yeah,
But I'm still gonna make a motion to adjourn.
okay,
I don't have any other.
All right, your motion, Jason, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Jeff, second. Roll call please.
Dirks,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Coster,
Yes.
Atherton,
Yes.
Taylor. Taylor,
Yes.